How's it going, Sat? 106 points your past two games. I mean, do you feel like this offense has, gotten to where it was, or was that just like, well, maybe a little a byproduct of playing those opponents?
I think that we had success, and we're never going to apologize for that. I think that we were supposed to go out there and produce and score touchdowns, and we knew that going into it, and our guys did it. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. The preparation, it didn't matter if they were playing, the Green Bay Packers or, a middle school team. Like the last 2 weeks, I've just been very pleased with the intent, the urgency, the focus that our leadership on offense has, and just the preparation that they put into both those games.
Hey, Marcus. With you guys bringing Corey Rucker now into that receiver rotation that you have, just kind of what does that receiver room look like? We haven't really seen anybody get kind of consistent targets game after game. So, how are you managing that rotation? And, does it affect Spencer's being able to kind of build those connections, having so many guys kind of swinging in and out?
It's good to have as many guys as we can that can make plays. It's all about competition. We'd love to get everybody 10 catches a game, but that's not realistically going to happen. You can't do that. So, whoever practices the best during the week usually gets their hands on the most balls. So I think just the more guys that get in there that can compete and push each other is going to make that room a lot better and make Spencer a lot better.
Yeah, Spencer was telling us about how you and Shane have had some conversations with him about stepping up in the pocket more. And then we saw on Thursday the touchdown to Stogner was pretty much a step straight into a throw. How did those conversations kind of go, and have you seen him actually develop in that as much as you'd like to so far?
Yeah, it wasn't that he couldn't do it. I think sometimes you just get in bad habits of not doing it. And so, we just watched tape, watched other quarterbacks, NFL, college, just, working in the pocket doesn't mean sprinting up into the pocket, into the mouth of death, at the line of scrimmage. It just means, you set your launch point, usually anywhere from 9.5 to 10 yards, and then you move up in the pocket under control, and as fast and the temperament as needed. So I think he's improved on that the last 2 weeks. He's definitely, talk about him all the time. Like if there's an issue, he's going to attack it, and he's relentlessly attacked it the last couple of weeks.
Seth, how many plays do you script to start a game?
10.
And when you do that, what are you kind of doing? Is it, hey, let's get our guys in a rhythm and do some things we like. Let's do something unique and see how they defend it. What's the thought process when you're trying to script something?
You're trying to get information, and obviously it's plays that have felt good all week because you want to get off to a fast start, and there's usually one or two shots, to make sure that you get the shot called, because sometimes you'll get within a drive and, get in a play calling mindset, and you'll look up and there'll be 20 plays and you've just been dinking and dunking it, trying to get first downs, and you haven't taken that shot. So by scripting a shot or two early on, at least it forces you, if you get that far down the script, to get that play call in the game early.
What's kind of stood out to you about Kentucky's defense and what you've seen on film?
Consistency. I love watching those guys play on offense and defense. They've recruited. Coach Stoops and his staff have done an unbelievable job of recruiting. You can tell they've recruited to a body type, especially on defense. Their length, athleticism, toughness, football IQ, you can tell. Very, very smart guys, football guys. I think that, they've done a tremendous job. It's just such a tough defense, and they're where they're supposed to be. I know they got out of some gaps with some tempo stuff last week against Ole Miss, but that's a rarity. You go back for years, and, they're where they're supposed to be. In coverage and fitting the runs, and it's just it's beautiful. If you're a football purist, it's beautiful to watch.
Hey, Coach, it seemed like that a couple weeks ago against Charlotte that y'all really prioritized establishing the ground game, while last week the priority leaned more towards trying to push the ball down the field with Spencer. Do you sense a stronger confidence in the players' inability to be balanced on offense at the start of a game like this one against Kentucky?
I think I understand your question, and that's a great one. When we talk about balance, our guys understand it's not being 50% run, 50% pass. There's going to come a time in the game where you have to run the ball, so you have to do that effectively, and there's going to come a time in the game where you have to throw the ball, and you have to be efficient at that. So I think that we're taking steps, especially the last couple of weeks, in both facets of our game. We got a long way to go, but I think that our guys are just trending in the direction of whatever is needed to win the game. We're going to have to do that at a really high level in order to have success.
Marcus Shane was talking about, and I guess Spencer was talking about too, that now 5 games into the season, you have a better feel maybe as an offense. What are maybe some of the plays you guys feel more comfortable with and things like that? I mean, is that a product of just having 5 games under your belt? I know we've talked before about like the jump from week 1 to week 2 and all those things. I mean, for you guys as an offense, are you able to say, whittle things down a little bit and say, okay, here are the things we feel really good about? Is that a product of just having a little more time, a few more games, things like that? Or I guess what kind of goes into that maybe?
I think the game film and the game, it's one thing to do spring practice, summer, fall camp, and get scrimmages, and it's another thing to go into a coliseum, a stadium, and play a game, and have success and have failure, learn from both. I think that naturally after 5 games, you've had a lot of successes and a lot of failures that you can learn from, and I think, like you said, you've kind of settled into certain types of play types, maybe look different each week, but play types that we're starting to get comfortable with, both he and I, and the receivers and the tight ends and the running backs. So, I mean, it's just the natural progression, in my opinion. You just just keep your head down, keep working, and look up at the end of the year, and got a pretty good product.
So, how'd you spend your Saturday off?
I watched every football game known to man. I had a couple buddies invite me to play golf. There was no way in hell I was going to go play golf, so I watched every football game I could. There were some great games on it. The Kentucky-Ole Miss game was obviously I had an interest in that because we're getting ready to play them. I thought that was just a great game by both sides. I mean, those guys were it was like a Rocky movie. Both guys, they were both landed on the line. So it was fun to sit back and watch other people do well and do poorly, and that wasn't me doing it. So.
I guess how much can that extra time help you and the rest of this offensive staff maybe get a little film in, get a little bit of extra film in, and a little bit of extra game planning in before you play a pretty pivotal game?
Yeah, I think it was huge just to get ahead. Like Friday, we got to I got to spend 5 or 6 hours watching Kentucky, and then Sunday morning when I came in here, I didn't have to watch the game previously and get it graded. We just started on Kentucky, so I mean we got a nice head start on our opponent, which you usually don't get. You don't get started on that film until Sunday afternoon when you finish with your guys and wrapping up the previous game from Saturday.
We've seen some offensive line shuffling, some of that injury, some of that just trying different guys. How comfortable are you guys with kind of whatever 5 you have to roll out there now and kind of the depth on that group?
It's improving. I mean, technique-wise, everything. You start with the Georgia game, no sacks, 1 sack, and no sacks. So the last 3 games, I don't care if we're playing trash cans, we're not giving up sacks, and a lot of that has to do with improvement up front, and a lot of it has to do with Spencer getting the ball out on time. A lot of it has to do with the running backs picking up guys in blitz protection. So. I'm excited about the group, the core guys. We have 7 or 8 guys that can go in and play, and I feel very comfortable with all of them. And they keep just keep getting better and better.
So where do you kind of draw the line between having your player personnel packages versus just getting as many of your best guys on the field at one time? Specifically with Jaheim, it seems like there's a few packages where he's just not there. Maybe that's what you guys want to do, but he's also a tremendous athlete.
No doubt, and I think Jaheim has improved. Starting with the Georgia game, I made a comment about he did some things that no one would probably even notice because it wasn't with the ball. You look at that kid at Georgia, Bowers, he does everything. Like you want to slice block, he can do it. You want to lead, he can do it. You want to run this route, he can do it. You want to pass protect, he can do it. So, we've challenged Jaheim, for the last month or so, like in order to be out there and play a lot of plays where they're not just, playing coverage because they know when you're out there you're going to get the ball. You got to improve on these things, and he's done that. And starting again like with the Georgia week, you can see him improving in the run game, blocking, and all those things. And naturally, when every time you can get him the ball, it's the chance to score. And as a play caller, obviously I would love to get him the ball 35 times, but he's making it easier now because he can do so many different things. It's not just Jaheim's playing in the wing, he's getting the ball. Jaheim's playing the X, he's getting the ball. And so I think we both made a commitment to making sure that he can do a lot of different things, which allow him to open up a lot of different doors of touching the football.
So you mentioned getting 5 or 6 hours of game film, and on a typical week when you play on Saturday, how much film are you getting to watch before building a game plan?
Like watching on a Sunday?
Yeah, like watching on a typical Sunday. Same amount?
I mean, I'm not going to be one of those guys like, man, we live here and all, like we watch a whole lot of film and don't see our family at all. So we see a lot, watch a lot.
And I guess from a run game perspective, how much is replicable moving forward? How much can you take from these last 2 performances and say, yeah, we can do that once we're back into SEC play?
Well, I think kind of what you're asking, I'll answer that. Like it was good because the last 3 weeks we played a certain deep. All three, the Georgia, Charlotte, the South Carolina State had very similar defensive fronts. So you attack those fronts in very similar ways with the run type. So it was a lot of carryover the last couple of weeks. Kentucky, is a different front, and they're more of a 3-4, NFL Okie 3-4 style front. That two gap things that make it really, really hard to run north and south. You got to try to find different edges to try to attack. So it's a little bit different mindset than what we've been doing the last couple of weeks, but still things that our kids are comfortable with.
So we've seen CBS get a little healthier over the last couple of weeks. I guess when he is healthy and getting downhill and maybe is a little more north-south than Marshawn, I guess how much does that help maybe add another layer, a wrinkle to what you guys can do in the running game and keeping Marshawn fresh and just giving a little bit of a change of pace as well?
Yeah, it's huge. And, the person that benefits the most is Juju because he's not having to get beat up, being the second back. So, it's helped Juju be a little bit more explosive in space. And then, when CBS does get healthy, it does make a difference to have that 1-2 punch because he is a physical downhill type guy, that could, we put him in at fullback a couple times on short yardage. He did a really nice job. So he can do a couple different things for us, and he's really good in pass protection.
I was asking Coach Beamer yesterday about Luke and the decision to keep him rolling since he's, at the 4-game threshold, redshirt and all that stuff. What have you seen from him and then want you guys to keep him involved and make sure that he's ready to go whenever you might need him?
Yeah, but he knows he's going to have to, he's going to find a way to play in, all the games probably. He's just it's cool. We said it last year, like it's a shame he didn't have an older quarterback to learn from, because his first year here he was in the receiver room most of the time. To be able to spend this time with, there's always pressure on all of us, but without the pressure of having to be the starting quarterback and go through game plans and watch Spencer and just, talk with me and his comfort level with this, you can see when he goes out there, he's a total different kid. Like he can finish my sentences. Like we go out there in the Georgia game and I'd start signaling something to him and he would just turn around and get the play. He knew what was coming. And so I think just naturally, as he gets to play more with experience, it's just been fun to watch his growth as a quarterback. And, when he goes out there, he produces. So you've got to keep that up and then take care of the ball, obviously. But I think that he's going to have a role here, definitely in the future and definitely this year.
And I want to ask you this because the last time South Carolina played at Kentucky was the night that it was announced Coach Beamer was getting the job here. Do you remember that night at all or have any specific memories of
I
hearing
do
about
because
that?
I was at Carolina, and I'd heard rumblings of, what was happening here at South Carolina. And then when they announced that Coach got the job, it was, for me, as one of my good friends got a job in the SEC, that was awesome, And I didn't want to call him and bombard him because he would think I was wanting a job. And, but, shot him a text. But, no, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize that. It's good vibes, good juju. Thank you, guys.